set. One. Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 97, the podcast about our lives and love of pop culture. I am your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And PyroJackFrost.
Welcome back.
vysethebold is killing it in doing these intros lately.
First try.
He's not messing up at all.
Unreal.
Yeah, I'll have to say the date later when we record Recon, so
we'll
see whether that works out.
So you're saying that we should make you mess up on purpose next time to ruin your streak?
2008. I mean, 2000 late. Shit, no.
2000 late.
Millennium. I mean. I just like laughing at the own.
You should just start one of these episodes in another language and see how long people listen to it, realizing that it's not like we didn't get a translator.
Wait a minute, that's not the date in English.
What's kind of funny is one of the podcasts that I listen to and occasionally appear on, the Hardcore Gaming 101 57,000 best games of all time podcast. They used to put all the rules in different language at different language every single episode. Like they researched the hell out of it and just like ran out of viable languages eventually. But anyway, Pyro, you've had a little bit of a hiatus, so I would like to give you some time here.
I've been adulting. Life has been.
I know what you mean.
Being life, house. I'm buying a house, so I have a bunch of stuff to worry about for that, and Anyway, so I'm going to start off with my usual opening, but it's going to be a little sad. So I usually say that I'm happily enjoying playing Granblue Fantasy, but it might be coming to an end.
Oh no!
So
the stars are no longer in your eyes, and the butterflies are no longer in your stomach.
I think it's a mix of things. So I've beaten all the story up till now. The problem was with the story that this last chapter that I beat was a little challenging for the level that my people were at, but the only way that I'm ever going to increase my power level, let's say, is by doing other stuff in the game, which is just grinding. So it's
no longer fun, huh?
Yeah, I need to unlock like the fourth row of jobs or to acquire like the more powerful heroes. Requires shit tons of grinding, and I mean in the sense of this one item requires, let's say, 5 different items, and one of those items I need 100 of them, which that you don't know if that's good or bad until I tell you that the place that I can get that item from only happens once a week, and whenever I fight that boss, he drops 0 to 2 of them.
Oh, come on.
God.
So
can you pay to get them too? I'm sure you can.
No, actually. Well, yes and no. It's weird. The other thing is like I need other items which I can only get by doing co-op, which again, so with the co-op one, they're called distinctions. I'm telling you more information than you need to know, but they're called distinctions, and I need, let's say, 30 of them, which actually doesn't sound that bad, but there was one time when I was fighting in the co-op room that would drop those items, and I fought like 15. I fought it 15 times, and I got 0 of them.
Oh man.
So
that sounds like Skies of Arcadia, where like when you kill an enemy, there's a pretty decent chance he'll drop an item, but the rare drops, like every rare drop in the game is like 1 to 3%. Yeah. It's total bullshit.
Yeah, but there's so much more you can do in that other than grinding. Like, this game has just become grind. Now, in the beginning, I heard people call it Granblue Fantasy, and I was like, oh, I'll be fine. Like, this is a fun enough game. But I open up the game now, and I look at it, and I'm like, okay, I just had to press these buttons a million times. It's like, I can do it when there's nothing else going on, let's say. It used to be that I would play it all the time. Like, I would not play games on my computer because I'd be home and I'd be like, you know what, I need to do my dailies. And I go through all my daily stuff, and I don't mind if I took an hour or so to play that. Or during my lunch break at work, I would be playing. Or when I'm in the car as a passenger, I would be playing it. But now I look at it and I'm like, I don't want to do this right now.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of losing interest. Now, I'm not going to remove it from my phone yet because I want to say that I played for at least a year. And I started playing in September, so I still have like 4 months left before I can uninstall it. I mean, I'm still like, there's always story stuff coming out, so I'll keep doing that every now and then when I have time. But at least the grind has made me lose all other interests I have. So I've moved to like playing Hearthstone some more on my phone because I had that on my phone, and I have those. Like Lara Croft Go and Hitman Go, so I have games that I can play. Yeah.
Have you seen that there's Deus Ex Go as well?
Yeah, I've been playing that one.
Cool.
Like Hearthstone, though, I'm also getting annoyed at just because it's really annoying losing when it's from like some random effect. So I was fighting this boss. There's like solo. I really only do solo stuff because I haven't played enough to have a decent deck of cards to play with the competitive. And there's one boss that's like had played the card that what happens is all of the minions, which are like your creeps, let's say, fight each other and only one survives. So you're like, okay, that's really lame if there's like 20 creatures out and your guy dies, whatever. But the enemy had 1 creature. I had 3 creatures. What's the percentage chance of my creatures surviving?
Well, assuming they're all equal.
Yeah, 75% chance.
Yeah, pretty
right?
Good. Yeah.
And all my guys die, and because of that, he beat me. And it's like, come on.
That's lame.
And I just finished a game today that I died because I basically had the enemy on the ropes, and then on his turn, he just happened to have a card that's an equipment, meaning he equips that and he can attack right away, that does just the right amount of health that I have. Damage. And I'm like, and it's things like that that really piss me off. Now, granted, he had that in his hand, for all I know, so whatever. But anyway,
it's still just frustrating.
Yeah, but either way, I have a mobile game that I want to play. I always want a mobile game to play, so that's there, and it's not horrible. So it is what it is. Another thing that I wanted to mention, I'm saying that I want to mention it in passing, but I know we might talk about it for a little bit. So if you're unaware, the Myth 25th Anniversary Collection is on Kickstarter. So you can buy.
It's getting toward the end of it too. There's like 3 days left at the time of this recording.
Yeah,
so
only 3 days. I actually bought it yesterday.
Yeah, I think I'm actually thinking of going in on this too. And by the way,
I might do it too.
For the people who are listening to this podcast, I think that means it ends tomorrow. Like at the time you're hearing this on the Wednesday.
So, yeah, I think it ends on the 24th. So 24th. So I think it's like the middle of the week.
Okay.
Let me know. Is this all the Cyan ones, or is it every Myst game?
It's all 7. So it's Myst, Riven, Exile, Myst 4, whatever that one was called.
Revelation,
End of Ages. Yeah, Revelations, End of Ages is 5. Uru, and the Real Myst.
The remake thing.
Okay, I was going to ask you whether Real Myst... Are the Masterpiece editions of 1 in Real Myst going to be in there as well, or...?
I think so. I think that the versions that they're... So what all this is they're just porting it to make sure it works on Windows 10. They're not redoing anything.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's the Masterpiece editions that they are making work on Windows 10 for those two.
All right.
One of the real reasons why I wanted to get it though is I paid like one of the higher level tiers so the base tier you get all 7 games. That's it. The next tier you get like a book that you can put the DVD sleeves in, so you can like look at the cover. Like you open up the book, it's like a linking book kind of, and you open it up and you see whatever DVD you have in front. The tier above it is one that I bought, where that book actually has an LCD screen. So you open it up and it starts a little like
I need more pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Too bad I can't touch it and get warped
Who
in.
Who are you?
But it's really cool because you can actually add your own videos to it as well. So
what?
plays whatever video you want when it opens.
Stupid videos on there.
The next level up above that, was an Inkwell. So if you played, I think 3 or 4, Gen, who is Atrius's dad, there's an Inkwell that he has. It's actually a working Inkwell that you can get for
it's
paying
pretty
for
cool
that
looking
version.
too, doesn't it? Have like a spider design.
It's a scarab.
Scarab, excuse me. Sorry, It's been a while since I took a look at the picture.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just really wanted to mention that I love Myst. I remember I played that when I was like 8 or something, or like 11 the first time.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And I don't know if I've beaten all them. I think I have. Granted, I don't think I beat all them on my own, like without looking for help.
Yeah,
because there are some puzzles where I was like, I don't know the answer.
I remember being super proud of myself because I also played Myst when I was really young. Like I remember being super proud of myself for figuring out how to. I don't think I beat any level, but figuring out how to enter like 2 of them, I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
so
but they're really
it is
fun
the
games.
Masterpiece editions. I just checked.
Okay.
So yeah, and it's the most complete version of Uru that they ever released too.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, did you know that the original Myst has not 3 but 4 endings?
Yes.
No. Yeah, because like you save one brother, you save the other, you save neither of them, but you take the final page into Atrius, or you just don't.
The fireplace.
Yeah, or you just don't take the final page and go to Atrius, and he's like, you freaking idiot, that was your one chance, now we're both stuck here forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Doesn't Atrius... when I played it, and I just kind of skipped to the end when I was a kid...
Yeah.
Atrius just sat there and wrote. Is that the end of the game, or does it go to...
Yep.
No, that's it. Yeah,
okay.
when you get that ending, he's like, I gotta go out and take care of something, and I won't tell you what he did, but it's pretty cool when you see. But otherwise, you get to just walk around the world as you see fit. So here, have fun. Yeah, you could go to places you've already been. It's just cool.
Because he was just sitting there writing constantly.
Because he was trapped there. That's all he could do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
That's why if you don't bring the page to him at the very end, you can't go back out. You're also trapped there, and you're a dumbass. He's just like, you fool, or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now the brothers and the 2 of you are screwed because you're all trapped in your own separate dimensions.
I guess I just didn't understand it when I was a kid because like I thought I never liked it when I was a kid because like I just didn't understand the puzzles. You know, like I just didn't understand what
some of them
are
like really challenging.
I was like 11 when I got the game, so like you know, like and then as an adult I actually played. I actually went back and played it and I beat the first realm and I really liked it.
Yeah.
But I went to the sound realm and I just didn't have the fucking patience for it.
The sound realm was brutal.
Really annoying.
That's one of the levels I was able to figure out how to enter, where you actually needed to have proper...
That was the spaceship, right?
Yes. And you have to play the keyboard, the harpsichord.
Yeah, but that was when you actually needed to have proper hearing for it. Like nowadays, a lot of games would compensate for it by giving you some sort of visual cue for it. Like it's like it's supposed to be an audio clue, but they could do visual in case the players are deaf or something. But
and that whole
Myst
age,
didn't do that.
That whole age is annoying because all the puzzles are sound based, and like to even leave that age, you need to travel in a spaceship that like leaving, but it's like a minecart kind of thing.
Oh, that was ridiculous! I remember using
you need
a guide
to be able
to
hear to find out which direction to turn.
Yeah, I remember I used a guide for that, and I had to make like 200 different movements. I'm like, how am I supposed to do this by my own? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I was trying to do some puzzle that required me to move from one brother's area to the other and match sounds, and I was like, fuck this. How do I remember what that sounds like? I'm not playing it on a piano to match it and then constantly
exactly.
playing
do you have
it
a piano at home? And
I'm not pitch perfect like like the 3 people who made this game.
Yeah.
Like I know how to do a puzzle. I can't. I'm not. I just don't have perfect pitch.
Yeah.
Like
it's really hard.
I mean nowadays I could record it with my cell phone and then just play it that way.
Even with me, like I can figure it out, but it'll take me a while because I have to remember like middle C. I'm like, all right, what's middle C? Like where now up 3,
and then you'll be adjusting.
It's
and
really
you'll
annoying.
be seeing whether you can adjust with the other sound, and then
that's actually how I got through the piano puzzle in White Day. I took forever because I was trying to like feel it out with my ears, and I'm like, this. It turned out there actually was a visual cue, and I missed it. And it was just
what is this? The Goonies, where you're like, oh no, C sharp. Like
I'll take your word, but like I made the puzzle way harder than it had to be.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that since these are just ports, that like they're done pretty quickly, because I am looking forward to playing them again.
Yeah.
After that, another thing I wanted to talk about is actually a Netflix show that I just finished watching today. It's only 4 episodes, and they're like an hour each, but it's called The Toys That Made Us. It's actually a really cool show, and if either of you have Netflix, I recommend watching it. So the first 4 episodes are about Star Wars, Barbie, He-Man, and G.I. Joe, and it's basically about how those toys basically saved their respective companies at those points in time, and how they became like huge things. I originally wasn't going to watch it, but then I found out that there were 4 more episodes, and 2 of them are Transformers and Lego. So I'm like, all right, I'll watch all of them. There we go. Yeah. And I think the other 4 episodes come out later this month. I'm gonna check in a second, but I'm gonna keep talking about other things while I'm checking that. So I haven't really been playing any other games. So I beat Borderlands Pre-Sequel, and it's actually kind of funny. So I did all the quests in that. And I really enjoy Borderlands games, but the longer I play them, the quicker I lose interest in them. Yeah. Because all the quests are kind of like the same thing.
Yep.
And it's basically just running back and forth. And granted, the MMOs that I play are the same thing. But I don't know, it just feels different in Borderlands. That being said, I'm looking forward to Borderlands 3, but the longer they wait to bring it out, the less interest I might have. Because honestly, the only reason why I started playing Pre-Sequel was because I got the Telltale Adventure, the Tales of Borderlands for free, and I decided like, hey, I'll play this. And I played it, and I really enjoyed it, so I'm like, hey, I'm going to play Pre-Sequel. But if they wait another year or 2 for Borderlands 3 to come out, and there's nothing there to like bring my interest, unless they really changed the system like a lot, then I'm gonna probably not even think about it. But after I beat that, honestly, the only other game I've been playing is Final Fantasy XIV. But I've been playing it a lot. I finally beat the first expansion, over the weekend. That being said, I'm still like a year or 2 behind because the other expansion's out that I have, so I've been playing to get that. That's been fun. But then, in my infinite wisdom, I decided to reinstall Guild Wars 2, which is another MMO, because I'm an idiot.
You've been playing that one for a long time.
Well, I played it when I was when I first started teaching. When it first came out, it was actually like 6 years ago now, and I played it. I got like my character to max level. I completed the whole map, did everything I could for one character. Let's say not everything, but all the easy stuff I could do for one character. And then I stopped playing for a while because I had other games, but something, I don't remember what it was, made me think about like looking into it again. So I re-downloaded that. I've been playing that a little bit, but Final Fantasy XIV has been taking up a lot of my time, especially because I've been doing dungeons with Old Man Stompy and Minty Mitz and Mr. Ryu. So I've been playing a lot with them because they also play Final Fantasy XIV. And they were actually surprised to see me on so often, because for like the last 20 podcasts I've been on, I've been saying like, oh, and I really want to get back into Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah. And the 3 of them who, if they're ever listening, are probably like, yeah, fuck that. He's never going to go back on again. So they were really surprised that I started playing again. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm saying I'm an idiot because now I'm starting another MMO, because I can't just have one game to play, an MMO as it is.
I feel your pain, man.
But yeah, so Guild Wars 2 is fun. It's actually kind of funny because the more I play 14, the more like Guild Wars 2 feels like it's in beta still, even though it's not. It just doesn't feel as... I think it's because of the art style. It's really nice art style. It's very painterly. So whenever you go into a cutscene, it's not just like a fade out, fade in. There's like 2 brush strokes that go across the screen for like the top and the bottom of the screen. Then your characters like move in. They don't walk. They just kind of slide in, let's say. And the background is painted in. So it's like, it's really painterly. It's really nice looking. But because of that, it doesn't feel solid, I guess is a good way of saying it. Whereas like Final Fantasy XIV looks solid. Like all the windows have borders. And they pop a little bit.
I'm sure they had a cobblestone girl just for that, you know.
Yes.
What?
You
never heard that like legend going around?
Nope.
Okay, so one of the things that people were making fun of Final Fantasy 15 for was that they had way too many people working on it and doing like very minute things rather than just like getting the fucking game out. So legend had it that there was just a girl, all that she did was rearrange cobblestones
so it's not like obviously a copy pasted repeating pattern?
No, like she was just meticulously placing cobblestones in that fucking game.
That sounds exhausting.
Like that was her entire fucking job. She'd do it for like, and Japanese working conditions, so she was probably doing it for like 15 hours a day.
Yeah, something
just
insane.
Just like click 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 click.
Yeah. Well, 15 is a whole nother story. Like a whole other thing we could talk about. But
I was trying to be funny, but it fell on deaf ears.
But yeah, so like because of that, and Guild Wars 2 is very painterly. The windows don't have borders. It makes it seem like it's not finished. It very much is finished, and they're different games, and it's hard going back and forth because in Final Fantasy XIV, all of your skills have what's called global cooldown, meaning if I use one skill, I can't use another skill until like not a second, but like a few milliseconds have passed. Whereas Guild Wars 2 is very much action-based. Like if I hit a button, I use that ability, and it has its own cooldown. And it's like you're supposed to be moving around constantly and like hitting people and like getting out of their range of their attacks, where Final Fantasy is very much you see the radius of someone's AoE attack, so you move out of that and then you just stand where you now are and attack them. So it's very different gameplay, but they're both pretty fun. I just need to decide if I'm going to stick with just one of them or try to juggle it. So I was actually, while you were giving us that little tidbit of information, Toys That Made Us, the second 4 episodes are Legos, Transformers, Hello Kitty, and Star Trek.
Okay.
Oh, those should be all interesting. Yeah.
And that'll come out on May 25th. So if you want to watch all 8 of them together, the end of this week, all 8 episodes will be out.
Believe it or not, as much as I'm not into Sanrio, I think the story behind it is fascinating.
Yeah,
so I might actually really like that one because they basically just turned it in. It's a brand. It's not really a thing.
Well,
it's just a character placed on stuff rather than a character that was originally in a cartoon or something.
Yeah, but actually another interesting thing. Have either of you heard of Agretsuko? It's a new cartoon on Netflix.
Yeah, we've talked about that a couple of
So
times.
I don't know if you know, but those characters are made by Sanrio.
Yeah.
For that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Old Man Stompy talked all about it, actually.
Yeah, I just find it interesting how it's very much an adult show. But it's like I heard somewhere that it's really cool because when you think about it, the people who grew up with Hello Kitty are at the age now where that show is appropriate for them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Toy Story. Like the movies got more mature as they went on because the people who grew up with it, their brains have changed over that period of time.
Yeah, so actually the last thing I want to mention, I actually was able to get through everything I want to talk about. So I've been reading a lot, which is actually really difficult because I really want to start Strange Journey Redux. So the new Shin Megami Tensei game that came out for 3DS. It's not a new game. It's not remake. I don't know what you call it. It's not even a port. It's like a port plus, I guess you could call it. So it's the same game with added content for 3DS. But since it's a 3DS game, I would usually play it on the bus or on the train to work. But since I've been reading and I'm in the middle of a book, I kind of need to finish that book. But like I've been rereading the Discworld books because I got all my books that I had in like a nice hardcover format. The covers look really nice. They're not really official in a way, but yeah, they look really nice. So I wanted to read them again. I was reading Color of Magic, and I'm on Light Fantastic. I'm like a third of the way through it. But when I finish that, I'll probably get Strange Journey, and I'll have more to talk about that.
Sure.
But that being said, it's kind of funny. I've been gone for like 3 weeks, and really it's just been Final Fantasy XIV for those 3 weeks.
That makes sense.
So that is me. So Lotus Prince, take it away.
Sure. Actually, by coincidence, I've beaten a ton of games because I've been kind of simultaneously playing a bunch, whether it's what I'm doing for leisure or like what I'm streaming or whatever, and it's all kind of come together at once. So I mentioned last week I started Hotline Miami 2, and I have now finished Hotline Miami 2. It's a really fun game. I might actually like the soundtrack even more than in the first game, and the first game
really
soundtrack was amazing.
Is it really similar to the first game?
It's quite similar, but I would say there are There are a couple of outstanding differences. One of them is you play, like, in the first game you play as one guy, up until the very end where you play as one different person. In Hotline Miami 2, you play as several different characters who each have their own gimmicks. Like, one of them is a guy who cannot change weapons, but he has a melee attack and a heavy machine gun. And because you can't change weapons, if he runs out of ammo, then he's in a military installation, so there are military crates you can find to replenish a little bit of ammo, but you have to go to them, which can be scary. There's a duo where one guy wields a chainsaw, and if you right-click, the brother behind him will fire a pistol. So it's stuff like that. So there are characters that feel different when they play, which is pretty cool. As far as overall gameplay, I would say there are two things this game does differently. One of them is very large levels where you could always move your mouse to the edge of the screen and kind of look, like pan the camera a little bit. But these levels are big. Sometimes you still don't pan all the way. So there are a lot of opportunities for you to die by cheap shots from, like, way outside of your sight. Turns out there was a guy there the whole time. I mean, they don't necessarily see you, but you could walk into their field of vision before you notice they're there. But you could do that too. If you know a guy's way at the other end, you could just fire a shot and you might hit him from across the screen because bullets go until they hit something. So there is that. Also, lots of windows. It was a bit of a gimmick in the first game, but they are everywhere in the second game. So there are lots of cases where you're like, it's a wall. I'll just hide behind this. And I mean, it's obvious that it's a window, but you might not be thinking about it at the time. So the guy's just looking at you and he's like, and he just shoots you through the window. And you could do that too. But, like, remember that. You can't hide everywhere. Turns out that was a window. It's glass. You could see through it. Stuff like that. But it was a solid game, and I enjoyed playing it. And I couldn't make heads or tails of the plot, but looking it up, there's actually a lot going on there. I recommend if you do play the game, look up a plot synopsis because it's not nonsensical. It's just it bounces around like Pulp Fiction, and some parts are told by unreliable narrators. So it's kind of like what? So if you look up what's going on, there actually is something going on there.
Yeah. Did you read the comic as well? Because
nope,
apparently that shed some. Yeah,
I didn't know there was a comic either.
There's a digital comic that's included with the game. That
I'll have to look into that then.
Yeah, I'm sure you bought the GOG edition, right?
Yeah, so I probably would have it.
So you just need to look into the resources, but it's worth reading as a preamble for the game.
Okay. Also, I beat Drakengard 2 for the third time because I beat it on extreme mode. Gotta say, not worth it. Really not worth it.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not?
This is coming from the guy who beat Stonekeep 2 for.
I know,
the rest
right?
of us didn't have to.
I played that game once. See, like Drakengard 2 is a fun game, and I do recommend playing it. But to get endings 2 and 3, it's not like I've mentioned this before, but it's not like Drakengard 1 where level 5A opened up, but you'd better beat the game first to unlock this one, and you'd better have beaten the previous level in a certain way or something. But with Drakengard 2, to get the other endings, you have to play through the entire game 3 times. And there are 12 chapters, each of which have some amount of levels. Like level 1 is chapter 1 has like 3 or 4 levels. One of the chapters has like 7 levels. So it varies. But chapters 1 through 11 are identical. So already you're just going through the motions. Chapter 12 has 3 levels, and because they differ across playthroughs, they're called 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, 2C. So like there's level 1, 2, and 3, but there's A, B, C versions of each. A, B, and C are normal, hard, and extreme difficulty, where it leads to a different ending. So 12A, like 1A, B, and C, level 1 is still the same across all 3 versions, which is dumb as shit. Level 2, 2A is one thing, 2B is different, but 2C is the same as 2B, so it's like, thanks. And then for level 3, the last level, the final boss, 3B is unique, but 3A and C are the same, except that the C version, the boss has like one more kind of attack when he gets really low. It's so not worth it. Just play through the game once and then YouTube the other endings. And the third ending isn't even that great. It's kind of lame. The second ending is kind of where it's at. And by the way, one thing I thought was a real dick move is to make the gameplay a little more tolerable across other playthroughs, when you beat certain chapters, you'll unlock free expedition modes. Those are the levels you could go to anytime you want to grind for stuff. You unlock new free expedition modes almost every chapter in the second playthrough. In the third playthrough, you unlock like 3 more, but the dick move is that's how you get like the last weapons in the game are after you beat chapter 11. So right before the big finale, chapter 12, levels 1, 2, and 3. But you unlock the last 2 weapons after chapter 11. But in chapter 12, there's never an opportunity to use them. Like levels 1 and 3 are in the air, and level 2, there is a level where you're on the ground, but HP is irrelevant. You're supposed to just strike an object without getting hit. Like you have to hit it like 5 times. So it doesn't matter what weapon you use. So the only way you would ever use these new weapons, which are like the best in the game, is if you start a 4th playthrough, which is pointless because you don't get anything for a 4th playthrough, or if you just want to go grind forever and then never use them in the story. It's fucking dumb. So Drakengard is a fun game to play, but beat it once, YouTube the rest, because fuck that. It's so not worth it. It's like, honestly, I call that bad game design, unlocking the last weapons when you literally cannot use them unless you want to grind and not have anything to show for it, or do a 4th playthrough, which is pointless. So like I already beat the game 3 times. What do you want from me? Yeah. Otherwise, I was at Luminaire's place. We played a little more Trials of the Blood Dragon, and there's even more variety with the gameplay than I had said before. There's one level where you have to move a bomb, so it's this big trailer behind you, and you gotta drive kind of carefully because you don't want to shift forward too much and the bomb rolls out and explodes. It gets pretty rough. And there are also even jetpack levels where you click the button to thrust in the direction you're facing, and you don't want to hit dangerous walls and things like that. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of diversity with gameplay there. It's really fun. I don't have much more to say with plot because we were just kind of doing gimmick levels, but it's really cool. Otherwise, this is an old school one, but I actually reinstalled Crimsonland. Crimsonland was an older game from way back when that was kind of remade on GOG. And
yeah, wasn't that a Metroidvania roguelite?
Not even a little bit.
No.
No. It's an overhead.
I'm thinking of Risk of Rain or
yeah, that sounds more like it. Yeah. No, Crimsonland is an overhead view where you move the mouse to aim like your cursor, and you fire at whatever you're hovering the mouse over or past. I guess or in front of as well, but it's easier to hover your mouse over what you're trying to fire at.
Kind of like Hotline Miami, then? In
that case? It actually is, now that you mention it. Yeah, it is kind of like that, only there's no melee. Like you have infinite ammo, kind of. Like, you run out of ammo in your clip, and you have to reload, but you can do that forever. And it's just legions of enemies trying to kill you, so I was able to beat that on the normal setting, which is pretty cool. I might be done. Like, if you beat it on harder difficulties, you get little in-game achievements, but it's really just more for bragging rights than anything, so I think I'm pretty satisfied. Otherwise, I happened to beat both games I was streaming. Just by coincidence, we finished them at about the same time. So I beat Yomawari Night Alone, and once again, it continues to be like all these cute characters, but everything's legitimately spooky. The final boss had a really clever design. It looked like this gate, like this. Well, not literally a gate, but like a gateway. These 2 doors that open in, but you know it's a boss, so the doors don't open. But it looks like a set of doors. But you know that Salvador Dali? It's not a painting because it's actual people, but like you know that Salvador Dali thing where a bunch of naked women are posing together in such a way that forms a human skull?
Yeah.
Yeah, the final boss was kind of like that, where there are a bunch of like naked characters lined up in such a way that formed not a skull but a kind of face, and just like if you look at your own character in Yomawari, it's this cutesy little Nipponichi design, like you look like somebody from out of Disgaea, because you know Nipponichi software. But then that's the final boss. It's like, holy shit, like the thing is like terrifying. But it was pretty cool to beat that game. I don't think I'm going to go back and platinum it or anything, but it was a lot of fun to play. And I look forward to playing I don't know if it's a sequel, but the next Yomawari game, the PS4 one, when I get around to that. And I also beat Zack and Wiki. that last level, finally beat the last level. Turns out it wasn't the last level. There's a final boss fight. Like, you don't really fight in that game with, like, one exception, but even battles are handled as puzzle levels. It's really creative how it does that. There are certain motion controls that can get kind of irritating, though, like a part where you have to, like, wave this thing you're supposed to be holding, like a lasso, so, like, spinning your wrist around and then casting it forward like you're throwing a lasso or something. The casting forward, it was just, I really couldn't figure out what the game wanted me to do to make it register the cast forward rather than I'm spinning it more. That drove me crazy, but I beat the game, and now that I've beaten the game, it's almost like when you beat Sonic the Hedgehog 1 without getting all the Chaos Emeralds. Like, the boss of the game is like, oh, you beat the game, but I have treasure hidden all over the world. Can you find them? And so, like, okay, so if you want to complete your archives, you can go look for those by playing old levels and doing weird things you might not have expected to activate the treasures. So I put a vote up to the patrons who follow who are at the Patreon stream level to see what they want me to do, like a new game or go back and look for treasure and be able to interact with the chat more, because I'm not going to be concentrating as hard on figuring out how to beat the levels. So we'll see what they say about that. So far, it's actually been a pretty close vote. The last thing I want to mention is that I started Yakuza 6. Finally, now that I beat Drakengard 2, I can move on to another console game. I've started Yakuza 6, and here's the thing about that. You're supposed to be playing this on a PS4 Pro, like it's PS4 Pro enhanced, but it's not like Neo where you have to choose between graphics or gameplay. It's just, I think maybe things will be a little smoother, or the loading will be better on the Pro.
They just optimized it for both platforms.
Yeah, but I will say this though. When I turned on the game, there are fewer logo screens when you turn on the game. It's just like Sega title screen. I'm like, okay, but when I loaded the game, loading a game from a save file takes kind of a while. And at first that bothered me, because it's clearly longer than in any other Yakuza game. But then I found out why, and not only am I no longer irritated, but I think this is actually going to save me a lot of time in the future. Older Yakuza games had lots and lots of loading screens. Yakuza 6 has almost none. For the first time, when you go into a store, you just walk in. You just open the door and you're in. There's no loading screen for restaurants or anything. This stuff is so smooth that when enemies encounter you on the street, you can actually take the fight into some of those stores. Like,
wow, that's cool.
That blew my mind. There's actually a particular heat action I unlocked where there's one store, it's kind of like a 7-Eleven in America. It's called, like, Popo, I think, like Poppo. And the reason I mention this is that this kind of convenience store mostly sells food products and some knickknacks, and it's got a little magazine rack. But one of the things is that you can buy little pre-made meals, like ramen dishes and stuff like that, and they have a microwave in the store to heat it up for you if you want it now, you know? Like 7-Eleven kind of has stuff like that. There's a unique heat action where if you take the fight into this place, you actually grab a dude, throw him over the counter so his face, like, breaks through the microwave door.
And you turn it on?
No, that's the best part. You're still on the front of the counter, so you're like, hey, you, could you microwave this junk for me? And the employee, who's, like, terrified, like, pressed against the wall, is like, okay, man, whatever, just don't hurt me. And he presses the button, and he, like, just fries the guy's fucking face in the microwave.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's like a cutscene heat action. It's so good.
That's amazing.
And the heat actions generally look more brutal, too, because it doesn't...
Apparently that guy didn't mind murdering that other guy.
He was just like, I don't want any trouble, man. Like, I'm more afraid of you than the guy whose ass you kicked, you know? Clearly you're the stronger one because you're the one who's kicking the ass, so I'll do what you say. But, like, the heat actions have always been brutal in Yakuza, but now that they have smoother integration, stuff just looks rough. Like, the dagger, you used to just stab a guy with both hands and then push him off. Now you stab the guy in the gut with the dagger and let go, but then you knee him, like, in the hilt, pushing it in further. It's stuff like that. Like, your moves just, like, any heat action, even the early ones, just look nasty in any Yakuza game. So it's just cool to see what they'll do. One other thing I want to mention is there have been a lot of quality of life improvements. for example, I think I'd mentioned in Yakuza 5, I was working my hardest to unlock the accessory to equip that lets you spot enemies on the map, so I know who to avoid or who to actively seek out if I want XP. No, fuck it. You could just see enemies on the map at all times now, because why not? Like, just do it, you know? Same thing goes for food. Normally, if you want to unlock the final Amon thing, you have to complete all this stuff in the game, and one of the things is, like, eat everything at every restaurant, but that was always frustrating to do, because you can only eat until you have full health, at which point you either have to get in a fight and intentionally get hurt, which took forever in the older games, or it's gotten better in Yakuza 5. You can go to, like, a drugstore and buy something that makes you hungry, which it just drains your health. So just eat a bunch of those and then go eat at a restaurant. Now, fuck it. You can just eat whatever you want. If you pass your threshold of when you're considered full, you could still eat any food you want to get completion for that restaurant. You just won't get the EXP benefits of eating the food. So this is actually a really clever decision, because if you only care about getting the awards, then just eat everything. But the awards themselves provide you with XP, and if I'm in it for the XP, then I might as well slow down and eat food when I should, because that gives me XP too. It actually encourages me to calm down and just take things at more of a reasonable pace than I usually do. I actually really appreciate that. Like, if I ate all the food and didn't get the benefits just so I can get the XP reward at the end, I'm kind of not seeing the forest for the trees. Like, I'm dropping all this XP so I can get this marginal amount of XP. It's kind of like, wait a second, you know? But otherwise, as far as plot is concerned, I don't even really know the plot yet. I mean, I have what's on the back of the box, but as far as gameplay is concerned, I went into town, I'm looking for Akiyama, I can't find him. I go to his office, he's not there. Okay, I better start looking for him, I guess. That's all I have. I've played literally 5 minutes worth of plot, and I've been playing the game for like 7 hours. I've been doing so much side stuff. So, as usual, that's how I go with Yakuza. So I look forward to seeing where we go from there.
I mean, that's the fun in Yakuza anyways, the side stuff. So.
One of the things I'm most excited about is to see whatever the Amon fight is going to be, because, like I've said before, a bunch of side missions have, like, sequels in the following games. Like, yeah. You'll understand what's going on in this side mission if you played the similar one in the previous Yakuza game. Sure. And Amon is the big payoff. He's like the guy you get for basically not perfecting the game, but close enough, at least completing all the sub-stories. And he gets angrier and angrier each time you defeat him. And Yakuza 6 is supposed to be the final Kiryu game. Maybe not the final Yakuza game, but the final Kiryu game. Sure. So I assume it'll be the final Amon encounter. So what's it going to be, and what's the payoff? I mean, as far as unlockables, maybe it'll be the golden gun or something, but, like, how is the story for the Amons going to play out? Because they're going to have to pull out all the stops for this one. Because, like, there's nowhere to go from here, unless you do more prequels or something. So I'm very curious.
Well, it turns out he just takes a missile launcher from behind his back and then blows up the world.
No, I mean, he literally did take out, like,
those are great movies.
Giant fuck-off, like, cannonball shooter in Yakuza 0, so it's like, what?
I'm not even going to explain my reference. Only
no, I actually do understand the reference, but Yakuza 0's Amon was, like, close enough.
For the audience. I meant for the audience because I don't want to spoil it.
No, of course not. But Yakuza 0's Amon was seriously close enough. He was firing cannonballs and, like, lasers and shit. Like, I don't know where you pulled that rocket launcher from, or, like, that cannon, like, a literal cannon, like, under his arm. That's what he's armed with. Okay. Then a fucking helicopter's flying overhead and dropping furniture on me while we're fighting. That was a hectic fight, man. But anyway, yeah, I really look forward to see where Yakuza goes, but it'll be a while before I even attempt to see where Yakuza goes, because I'm doing sub-stories. So, otherwise, yeah, most seamless Yakuza game to date. I can't believe it. Like, I'm gonna save time in the long run because of how few loading screens there are. I'll put up with one long loading screen. Not as big a deal as I thought. Anyway, that's been my week. How about you, Vice?
Well, I only really played one game this time around. It was Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
I've been trying to complete the Hunter's Lodge missions for...
Some of those can be really challenging.
So I had no problem with the mainland ones. The ones in the Frozen Wilds are very difficult, for me at least, because they require you to be very quick. Now, once you completed one of the submissions, you actually unlock a fourth one, which is pretty cool. So I've done 3 out of the 4. I did the special one and the first 2 from the regular ones. So the third one is actually the one that's vexing me. And
I love that word.
It's
really getting your goat.
Yeah. The big issue with it is not my skill level, but like the fact that I have to grind for materials, because these are the hardest challenges in the game, or the DLC, or the game proper. So they require you to use a lot of ammunition.
Sure.
And in order to craft ammunition, you need to have a lot of resources. Basically run out of money. And that really never happened to me in the game before, because you don't really need to use money like that. Once you get past the original hurdle, it's kind of like in Zelda. Once you get past like a certain point, the rupees are useless.
Yeah.
It's kind
of like that. Do you want to buy some bombs? Really? The things that are in every bush I cut? Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like that in this game. Like most of the difficult things to get are specific resources that you need for specific items to trade for, and not the actual currency. Now I'm running out of currency because I need like just regular resources that I would be collecting from hunting. Basically what I should do at this point is go back to the regular game and also hunt every animal or every machine that I come into contact with while I'm doing it, like I had been in the beginning of the game, to grind for resources.
Sure.
That way I could build up my stock instead of purchasing resources, because that could get really expensive.
Now, when you say go back to the regular game, do you mean like go back to areas that are covered in the regular game? Because like I'm thinking like Dark Souls 1, where the DLC you literally just teleport to it and now you're here.
No, what I mean is this is kind of like a subcontinent. So you can freely go from the Frozen Wilds back to the regular portion of the game, but I'm kind of delineating in order to make the conversation easier.
Sure.
Now there are way more regular robots and easier robots to hunt in the regular game than in the Frozen Wilds. The Frozen Wilds has its own group of robots that you can hunt, but they don't gift you with as many resources. So it's one of those things. So one thing that I just want to go back and do is kind of just continue to move forward and really just play it regularly. So what I really would like to do is just continue doing regular missions and doing as many as I can, and also hunting some of the grazers and other animals that will give me blaze. Blaze is really what I've been running into. I need it's essentially gasoline.
Okay.
So you collect gasoline from certain robots that store it, and you can use that to craft some of your ammunition. The weapons that you essentially need to use in order to be successful in those Hunter Lodge missions are resource hogs. They use up ammunition very, very quickly because they're very, very powerful. But you just need to have a ton of it on you. So it's just one of those things. But I'm looking forward to continuing on. There's other stuff to do in the game, but it most of it is just challenges at this point. So I think I'm just gonna go forward and just beat the game, as and if I want to go back and do the challenges later, I'll do that.
Yeah, I think it took me a little while. I think I beat the game first and then went back and platinumed it. But did I even platinum it? I don't even remember if I platinumed it.
I'm not even gonna platinum it. I just kind of want to do all the submissions and stuff like that. So, I think to platinum it, you need to you would probably need to get all the campfires and do stuff like that, and I don't, But the only other thing that I really did that was video game related this week was I bought a few games. I didn't play really anything else. On the Switch, Super Burgertime came out. There's a company that's releasing Data East games.
Nice.
So I had actually never played Super Burgertime. I liked the original Burgertime, so I was kind of hoping that I would like this version. Because even though I like Burgertime a lot, I can only get to like the 3rd level.
That game's really hard.
Yeah, I remember it being really hard.
So I'm hoping that Super Burgertime is like easier, a little easier, or at least a little bit more balanced. Because the original game just kicks your ass. So I remember liking the Game Boy version quite a bit. So I'm looking forward to playing that. It was only like $8 or so. So I was happy to get that. I picked up Dragon's Crown Pro because I like the original Dragon's Crown. I never beat that, but
I never beat it because it got very like repetitive. But it was still a really fun game.
Well, my
what
buddy
changed in the Pro? What did they change?
Added a couple classes and they added more missions. So
okay.
I think it is compatible with your save from the PS3 version, if I'm not mistaken.
That's nice.
And also, hence, compatible with your Vita save as well. So, because this was one of the very few games where you could transfer your save between the two.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty neat that it does that, and I'm looking forward. I'm gonna be playing this with Retro Gamer when he actually gets a copy of that. So I'm looking forward to playing with him. If anybody else wants to get in on it, I know Lotus, you're not gonna do multiplayer, but Pyro, you might. Anyway, so I also picked up Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux. So you said it's not a remake of the DS one?
It's the same game, but they add a little bit of story.
So is it like Chrono Trigger DS then?
Yeah, that would be a good comparison.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's effectively a remake with extra content, an enhanced remake, right?
Yes.
Okay. So once again, I'm picking up good games for the 3DS before the 3DS disappears. I know that there's at least one more game for the DS 3DS that I know of that is coming out that I will want, and that is Etrian Odyssey Cross. So I will
is that
definitely
number
pick that
10 or did they just change the numbering?
No, it's It's Cross.
Okay.
It's not X.
Yeah, that's so weird.
So it's kind of like Monster Hunter Generations. It's supposed to be a greatest hits of all of the games. So what they're doing is they're bringing back old features and old classes and how they function and things like that.
It's pretty cool.
So yeah. It's supposed to kind of be a best of, dream match kind of deal. So, I am really far behind in these games. I beat the first one.
And with all those RPGs, you're going to be busy for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know why I buy them anymore, but, to be honest, because I never really play them. But it's one I love the first game so much that I do have grand ambitions to play the rest of them. But at this point, the first two games have been remade, so I might as well just start with the remake of 1, and then move on to the remake of 2.
That's kind of like what it was for me for Dragon's Crown. Like, I bought Dragon's Crown a while back, I never actually played it, and now there's a remaster. It's like, oh, well.
Yeah, I mean, Odin Sphere was that way with me, too. I mean,
Yeah, I kind of want to pick up the remake for Odin Sphere. I never beat the original, but I kind of want to play the new version because I heard they changed a lot of things that made the first one kind of annoying.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Yeah. I thought it was just a graphical overhaul.
Oh, no,
they changed a bit of the gameplay, too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there's Muramasa. They did a significant upgrade too, as well.
For the Vita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, they've been doing a good job with these remakes lately, but it's also been making me realize I buy a lot of games that and then I buy its like and never play them, and then I buy its like second and third versions too. So like it happened that way with Radiant Historia a couple months ago when that came with the enhanced remake of that came out. So
will you ever learn?
No. I'm starting to like with Steam games I don't do that, but with physical games I still do this. So like for instance I didn't buy the new Torment game. I made a hardline decision to never purchase a sequel to a digital game unless I had beaten the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I beat Torment, and I bought the spiritual sequel, and I got like an hour or two in, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I don't have the time commitment for this. Yeah. And then I also bought, because I kickstarted that, and I also kickstarted the is it called? Not Path of Exile? No, what's the other one that came out recently?
Path of Exile's...
That there's a sequel to right now. But anyway, a sequel came out, and I didn't even beat the first one. And I'm like, I like these games, but I don't have the time. Like, I don't even think I ever beat Baldur's Gate 1 or 2. Yeah. I just love those games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never played 2. I did beat the first one way back when, but I never tried 2. And apparently, from what I hear, 2 was the one to play.
Yeah. I mean, the ones out of those types of games that I definitely want to play is Knights of the Old Republic, and I haven't even played that. And
yeah, that's the one that like everybody agrees is like the greatest game ever, and I've never touched it.
Yeah, and I want to play Knights of the Old Republic too. Actually, that's where I really want to play, but I want to beat the first one in order to get to the second one. So
yeah, that's how I am. Speaking of which, now that I've beaten Drakengard 2, like once I beat Yakuza 6, I might finally be able to play the first Nier. I'm rather excited about that.
But anyway, I made a stance to do this because I had been noticing that I was buying these games that I was kind of excited for and hyped up for, but I also noticed, hey, a lot of these games just lower and lower in price. Physical games, that's something else, but like these Steam games are basically going to be around forever unless something like a policy change happens, which we'll get to later. But
yeah, or like that or even copyright stuff. You know how like Deadpool was kind of like on and off. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I basically told myself unless that it's a licensed character, and I'm afraid, and it hasn't I may do that for the Ultimate Alliance games pretty soon because I don't want those to disappear. That kind of thing. So, because those games were unavailable for a very long time, too.
And honestly, even though none of them has been in danger, like every Yakuza game ever, because the amount of licensed products in those games is just like ridiculous. It's like insane how many real life things are in that game. Those games.
Yeah, and a lot of companies have been really bad about notifying consumers ahead of time so that they can prepare to buy those games before they get delisted. So anyway, I know, like, for instance, though, like a game of like God of War is never going to go away. That's a mainline Sony game. That's not going anywhere. So I've resisted buying God of War because I know I'll play that game, but mostly because I know that maybe there might even be an enhanced version or like a DLC version that comes out later.
That's the thing with God of War. It's not like it's some weird niche title that if you don't buy it now, the one copy the store has will disappear. Yeah, no, this game will be around forever, and it'll just like 5 years later, it'll still be there for like $10.
Whereas like an SMT game, I definitely might.
Yeah, those might go away.
Or an Etrian Odyssey game. Basically where I'm like the only person in this whole town of, a town that would want that. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not gonna play around with stuff like that. Radiant Historia is also, but a Final Fantasy game, okay, I'll just let that go.
Yeah, those will be here.
So that's actually, my stance on that stuff. The only other thing I wanted to mention real quick is I just got back from Deadpool 2. Go and watch that shit. It's
I think I'm going to watch it next weekend.
Yeah, I do want to see that one.
It has one of the best post-credit scenes ever.
That's what I've heard.
I'm not going to say anything about it at all, but it's really good.
Yeah.
It also has a few cameos that are like really fucking funny. So
okay.
I liked it just as much, or even more than the first one.
Like, one of the only things I know about that movie is that, like, and people have known about this for a long time, is that he's got like Cable, like, yes, as like the straight man to Deadpool's, you know, bullshit. And that's actually, now that the movie's coming out, is out, that's actually gotten me in the mood to want to play the PS3, PS4 Deadpool game, because that also has Cable as a straight man. And apparently the game's okay, but you're really in it for the writing anyway.
It's there. You're just there for the voice acting and
yeah, it's like mash square to cut enemies up. Okay, but I want to see these cutscenes.
yeah. That comes from a specific series of comics that was called Deadpool and Cable.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah. They've been like reluctant partners.
Sure.
In several of the mediums.
I like how just about anyone who's partners with Deadpool is a reluctant partner.
Yeah. I mean, nobody except for Colossus. But
that was like the joke in that movie. Yeah. Like, join the X-Men, be a hero, and like ironically, Deadpool was the one who was like, I don't know. you know, I cut people in half, right? Like, I don't know, man.
It's quite good. It has a lot of good payoffs in the movie.
Sure.
It made me laugh out loud several times I'm very cynical, so I hardly ever like bust out laughing during movies, but it got me quite a few times. So it was good.
Sure.
So definitely go see it. And we can move on to reactions here. From our audience from last week. So the long and short of it is we had a question where we answered which Warhammer god we would be.
Well, we would worship.
Which one we would worship. That way
be a follower who gets.
Oh wow, I don't know any of the Warhammer gods.
Well, no, we don't either. So Drakeologist was kind enough to explain those to us. The long and short of it is that Vice and I agreed with whom we would go with.
Two of them, yeah.
Yeah, and actually we got 2 responses.
3.
Well, I 3 responses because I saw 2 on the YouTube page and you got 1 on the SoundCloud page. But Fakafon had weighed in. He said that he would go with Nurgle. Nurgle was the god of like disease and decay, and the positives is I think it was you feel less pain, and the negatives was like, and you're very tough and resistant. But the negative is that you are just swimming in various diseases all the time. And it turns out Drakeologist clarified that you are immune to your diseases, because otherwise you'd be dead within like 5 minutes. But Fakafon had said he'd want to go with Nurgle because the name Nurgle just sounds like a cute 90s fluffy character you see at a toy store. Lots of marketing potential. Money and power? Yes. Drakeologist had said personally he's Tzeentch Slaanesh. Tzeentch and Slaanesh are 2 separate gods, but that's actually who Vice and I went with.
Yeah.
One of those was you gain insane magic powers, but you have a desire to scheme, and you just undergo various mutations just at
randomly.
Just now you have another arm. Now it's
like
gone.
That seems annoying.
God.
Yeah,
like
and Slaanesh was that the party god where everything's like a party to you, but the downside was like, what was the downside? Like, wasn't there also some morphing going on?
Well, you never. I think you never really revel in the finer things anymore.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you lose taste in the finer things. Yeah, because every day is party day, but you lose taste of the finer things in life. So Drakeologist has said, he would go with one of the ones that we had gone with because he likes loud stuff and the lightning stuff. But the 2 are mixed, are dangerous because you would want knowledge of magic like no one else. And General Ledger had said, assuming none of the above is off the table, whatever would cause the least harm to my family. And I'm not sure which one that would be. Yeah, Nurgle's off the table because if you just walk into your house, they're dead. My assumption then would be that General Ledger would probably also want Tzeentch or Slaanesh. Maybe Slaanesh, because Tzeentch gives you the constant desire to scheme. That could maybe make things go wrong. Slaanesh is just you're a frat bro all the time, which is annoying, but it'd probably be least harmful. And the 4th god we did not mention was Khorne, Khorne. He turns you into a berserker.
Like the band.
Yes. But he turns you into a berserker. So, like, if you are a warrior, then this kind of like the best god to have, because he makes you a better warrior.
You're on 11 all the time.
Yeah, exactly. You're constantly angry and probably itching to fight. So I would not do that if you care about your family. So I would probably go with Slaanesh if you want the least harm to your family, with no other caveats. Now, this week's question is from Fakafon. Can you make any arguments in favor of buying a game that's really terrible, other than for the lulz, like Ride to Hell Retribution, like we played it because it's funny?
I mean, part of me feels like for the lulz is sometimes a good enough reason.
Yeah.
Well, no,
there is like
that.
Goat Simulator, you know, that's a fun party game.
That's not supposed to be terrible though. Like that is the game. Like that the game exists for the lulz. Ride to Hell does not, but you play it for the lulz. No, but I would say it's pretty easy to argue in defense of most games. I mean, when Fakafon says it's really terrible, I don't know in what ways it's really terrible, but even then, it's pretty rare for a game to fuck everything up, like everything. Usually, I would play a game because like there's not literally no positive things about it. I can talk about the positive stuff. Like, a lot of Suda51 games are kind of frustrating to play. Like, Killer 7's gameplay is okay. No More Heroes is intentionally frustrating with walking around the town and taking forever to get anywhere. But the spectacle is where those games are at. Or something like Until Dawn, where there's like very little gameplay, but you're there for the movie experience. It's stuff like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's probably several reasons to buy a game that's not good. Sometimes it could just be that they had a really cool gameplay idea.
Yeah.
And it's like, sure, the game sucks, but play it for the first odd length of it to see this really cool idea. Yeah. Especially if if you plan on going into game design or game development, you should be playing games, good or bad, to give you ideas for things that you want to make.
Absolutely.
See, a noble experiment is still noble. So, like, even if it's a failed one, it's still interesting to watch it. I mean, there are technically bad movies that I still enjoy because of that. You know, because they tried or they did something unique. There are plenty of reasons to buy something that are that it's bad because of that. There's still enjoyment to be had. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be objectively good for you to enjoy it. It just might strike a chord with you for other, like, research purposes, academically. You like it.
And not to mention, this usually works better for movies, but sometimes it works for games too. If you can tell that. It can be a little hard to tell the developers were having fun, but if you could tell the voice actors were having fun, sometimes, like, a really good voice actor just sells the whole thing. Like, I mean, Xenosaga 1 is a really good game anyway, but, like, every single time a scene with Albedo shows up, I just perk up. Like, where is this gonna go? Because, do you guys know anything about Xenosaga?
I've only played a little bit of it.
Yeah, I played
that game is
a little bit too.
But, like, Albedo is like the just full-on insane character who has, like, the maniacal laugh, and just, like, his thing is that he's basically unkillable. Like, one time, to intimidate one of your playable characters, he just cut off his own head and crushed it under his foot. And it's like, if that doesn't kill him, I don't fucking know. It just grows back. It was like that one character in, or that one enemy in Gantz, who's just like, there were like 2 frames that looked almost the same. Oh no, it was 3 frames. The first one is just this creepy woman standing there going, ho, 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 ho. And then the second frame is she just disembowels herself. And the third frame, her guts are falling out, and she's still going, ho, 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 ho. It's like, I don't know what to do. Like, fuck this.
Yeah, doesn't she, like grow her nail, like, on purpose, and then, like, slit her belly open with a nail?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And so she just does that for fun. I don't know how I'm supposed to kill her. I don't know what you do at this point. Like, again, Albedo obliterated his brain. Didn't stop him for more than a few seconds. Like, I don't fucking know, man. Yeah. So, yeah.
So I guess another reason would be also, like, to give you perspective. So a failure can tell you, like, how a genre or something like that progressed. You know, like, when something, like, failed at something, but then something later riffed off of it, it can give you perspective.
This is especially apparent in the Souls games.
Yeah.
It's not even like a failure, but you could tell there were improvements. Like in Dark Souls 1, unlike in Demon Souls, you can fast slide down ladders. In Bloodborne, you can fast climb up ladders. It's like, where? Of course, you know, where was this the first time?
So, I can also say that, like, if I'm a big fan of the series, even the bad games I'm gonna buy. For instance, but I'll usually do it later when they're discounted. I'm not gonna buy them at full price. But like Castlevania Legends is considered like one of the worst games in the series. It's the third game for the original Game Boy.
Okay.
It's not good by any means. It's the worst of the Game Boy titles, and that's saying a lot. Also Castlevania Judgment, the Wii fighting game, it has no reason to exist. It has no reason to exist.
But you might want to buy.
But it's a Castlevania game.
Well, it is a Castlevania game, but also you can't get this anywhere else. All the characters were designed by the illustrator for Death Note, and if you know that, you can tell.
Definitely.
Oh yeah,
yeah. There's buckles all over everything.
Yeah, everyone is Misa.
Everybody is Misa. Literally, everybody is Misa. Like even the male characters.
The male characters are
leather and
for their clothing, but their faces, like you could still see it's Death Note. Otherwise, Death Note influence is kind of amusing.
Everybody is a gothic Lolita, even like Simon Belmont. It's ridiculous.
And Maria especially.
Yeah, but so I will buy that. Just also like it is kind of for the lulz, but also like I'm a super fan. So like
I do that for Resident Evil. Like I have Operation Raccoon City. It's like nobody likes that game, but I kind of want to see where the plot goes. And plus, on the back of the box, it said there's a mission where you could play as Umbrella operatives and kill Leon. Obviously, that's not canon, but like I want to see how they handle that because I'm super into what if scenarios.
Yeah. So, I think we answered that pretty thoroughly. I mean, we buy bad games on, like me and Lotus especially buy bad games on purpose all the time.
I watched you play Stone Keep Bones of the Ancestors, and then I was like, I'm gonna buy this. I'm gonna pay money for this,
and then I'm gonna perform in front of tens of people.
And I did. I beat it. I beat that game. I'm the first person on YouTube, like I'm the first person on video to have seen the ending credits of that game. I wonder why. Again, advice, if you haven't looked it up, you should see like the last few seconds of the game. It's kind of amazing.
I'm sad that you're one of my associates. So anyway, I think unless we have any final words here, I think that'll be our show for this week. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something else, but I mean, I guess the only contrary thing I could think of is I had mentioned the gameplay sucks, but the story can be fun. But of course it goes the other way.
Elements can be good. Elements can be good.
But of course it goes the other way too. Sometimes the story is just garbage, and like I kind of want to press start and get to the gameplay because sometimes there's actually a really cool thing in the gameplay. Like again, this is a bad example because Metroid Prime 3 is a great game, but like that thing where you whip your Wiimote forward and you launch out your grapple and you pull the Wiimote back to rip away an enemy shield. That's cool as shit.
It was a lot of fun.
Even if you hate the Metroid games, get into a fight with the shield guy once. Try it out. It's amazing.
It's very satisfying. Very satisfying.
Even though you can't feel it, you're just pulling a Wiimote in the air. You kind of do feel it. It's great.
Mm-hmm. No, that
Zack Wiki does this as well.
Yeah. So that'll be the show for this week. We want to thank our fans who contributed questions and also responses. Please keep it up, guys. Respond to our question here. Please, and even give us examples of bad games that you've bought for good reasons.
Oh, totally.
Other than for the lulz.
Go ahead and give me even for the lulz, because I like to hear interesting answers. So please keep us supplied with awesome topics by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. And also keep us supplied with more topics. These off-topic topics have been really good lately. Even the Warhammer ones that we knew nothing about was pretty cool.
Yeah, with contextual explanation, we were able to talk about it for a reasonable period of time.
It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursdays on our sister podcast, Reactive Consciousness, I believe it's called. The in-depth look at this week in our lives. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on PSN, Steam, Xbox Live, Twitter, Switch, and Battle.net.
You can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, or even selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, then consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And if you even pay a high enough tier, he will go to too many games with me in person.
Maybe my car battery won't die that day. That'd be cool. you know how frustrating that was, where I was like I put a little video up, hey guys, I'm going to the December too many game thing, maybe I'll see you there, and then my battery died, and so I had to put up like I didn't break out the camera for this, but I put up like a title card that said like car battery died, sorry, can't go. That freaking sucked. Yeah, right.
We'll be back later, folks.
Experiencing some
next
technical
year.
difficulties.
Yeah, exactly. And
all right, and I'm PyroJackFrost. So you can find me at anywhere where video games are played as PyroJackFrost or Cloudoid540.
All right, everybody. We'll catch you on Thursday.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye, everybody.